You can build a business empire, quote the classics, and be that reliable shoulder every woman dreams of leaning on. But at night, in the quiet of the bedroom, you catch her glance and realize a terrifying truth. To her, you are just a good guy, reliable, proper, safe. But her body, her instincts, and her unconscious desire respond to a completely different man. And while you try to win her mind with logic and actions, that other guy speaks directly to her soul and her primal nature. He takes everything without even asking. Today we will not talk about how to become a better person. You are already good enough. We will talk about how to become inevitable to her. We will uncover 5 secret phantoms and 5 images living deep within her subconscious. These are the invisible directors who control her attraction while you try to play by the rules on a stage they built for you. These ideas are not made up. Their roots lie in the works of those who first dared to look into human darkness, like Jung and Freud. But we will not bore you with dull theory. We will turn their complex knowledge into a simple and lethal weapon. The first 4 phantoms will completely change your approach to women and to yourself. But it is the 5th and final phantom that we will only hint at throughout this conversation, which is the ultimate key. This is the image she herself does not realize, but to which she unconditionally submits. The one who can embody it stops being just an option. He becomes her destiny. But I must warn you, if you only watch until the middle, you will only get half the truth. I will reveal the most important key at the very end. Therefore, before we begin, please drop a like on this video right now for the boldness of the topic. And if you are here for the first time and ready to go all the way for real knowledge, subscribe right now. And before we start, I am very curious about our geography. Please write in the comments what city you are from. Our geography is very important to me. To understand why your logical and correct actions so often lead to failure, you need to go one level deeper. Down into the basement of her mind, where the laws of morality, fairness, and common sense do not apply. It is not logic that rules there, but instincts as old as the world. Imagine that 2 creatures live in her head. The first is a modern and rational person who acts as the director of her social life. This director values stability, care, and predictability. This part is responsible for choosing a husband, a mortgage partner, and the father of her children. This is exactly who you try to negotiate with by sacrificing your time, resources, and emotions. But there is a second creature, a dark and primitive beast living in the deepest cave of her brain. This beast does not understand the language of words and gifts. Its currency consists of emotions, instincts, and sensations. It does not seek safety, but vitality. It does not want to be content, but wants to feel alive. And it is this beast, rather than the rational director, that decides who she will desire. Who she will want so badly her knees tremble and her mind clouds over. The rational director will later simply find 1,000 beautiful and logical explanations for why she is so irresistibly drawn to this wrong and dangerous man. Your main mistake is that you are negotiating with the puppet while the puppeteer sits in the dark and silently watches you. This dark theater is exactly what psychologists call the realm of the unconscious. And the most famous phenomenon born in this theater is the friend zone. Men perceive it as some kind of purgatory or a waiting room, but in reality, it is a life sentence. The friend zone is not a place, but a psychological category. It is a box labeled safe where she puts all the men who provide her with comfort but do not stir up the slightest storm in her soul. You can be a shoulder for her to cry on, an advisor or a helper, but you will never become the object of her passion. Because passion is born from tension, from uncertainty, from slight anxiety and anticipation, and you are a quiet and calm harbor. Any woman will choose a storm in the open ocean, even at the risk of crashing against the rocks, over an eternal calm in a safe port. Because the storm makes her feel alive. One of the first to systematically study this dark and irrational part of us was Carl Jung. He introduced the concept of the shadow. The shadow is not something bad. These are all the parts of our personality that we suppress and hide because society considers them wrong. This is her hidden aggression, her secret sexual fantasies, her thirst for power and submission, and her craving for chaos. Every good girl carries this shadow inside her, and she desperately looks for a man who will not be frightened by her shadow. A man who will see it, acknowledge it, and most importantly, allow it to manifest. A man who is himself in touch with his own shadow becomes a magnet for her. By his own example, he gives her unspoken permission to be not only good, but also bad, real, whole. And in this permission and acceptance of her dark side, a connection is born so deep and powerful that nothing can destroy it. She subconsciously realizes that with this man, she does not need to pretend. With him, she can be herself. And this feeling of total freedom is the main aphrodisiac against which any other male virtues are powerless. The first and most fundamental phantom that lives in her subconscious is the image of a man who does not seek approval. A man whose reality is so strong and unshakable that her doubts, fears, and manipulations simply crash against it like waves against a rock. We will call him the executioner of her doubts, because he ruthlessly but calmly executes any of her attempts to destabilize his inner world. This has nothing to do with aggression, arrogance, or rudeness. On the contrary, his strength lies in his total calmness. Let us break this down to the molecular level. Female energy is by nature chaotic, emotional, and fluid. It constantly changes like the weather. Male energy, in its archetypal manifestation, is structure, order, and direction. A woman subconsciously looks for a man who will become a reliable shore for her inner chaos. She will constantly, again and again, test the strength of this shore. She will create small storms. She will act capriciously, argue over trifles, suddenly change her mood and provoke you. She does this not because she is bad. She does this to make sure the shore will hold, that you will not crumble to dust from her emotional wave. What does a good guy do? He starts fussing. He tries to please, calm down, and appease her. He sees her dissatisfaction and perceives it as his mistake. He immediately tries to fix everything, adapting to her changing mood. At this moment, he fails the test. He shows her that his reality depends on her state, that her chaos is stronger than his order. She might get what she wanted in the moment, but on a deep level, she feels disappointed and loses attraction to him. She understands that this shore cannot be trusted. It is too shaky. And what does the executioner of her doubts do? He sees her emotional storm, but does not get involved in it. He remains in the center of his own cyclone. He does not argue. He does not make excuses. He does not try to convince her. He simply states his reality. Imagine a situation where you agreed to go to a restaurant. Half an hour before leaving, she declares that she is not in the mood and does not want to go anywhere. A good guy will start begging. "Oh honey, we agreed. I really wanted to take you out." He puts her mood above everything else. The executioner of her doubts will look at her calmly, without a shadow of irritation, and say, "I understand. It is a pity you are not in the mood. I will go anyway. They have excellent steaks. If you change your mind, you know where to find me." And he will calmly start getting ready. At this moment, a short circuit happens in her head. Her attempt to control his reality has failed. His plans, his desires, and his direction do not depend on her momentary whim. He does not punish her. He is not angry. He just keeps moving along his trajectory, and this creates a colossal attraction. She sees a rock in front of her, and she desperately wants to press herself against this rock because next to it, her own inner chaos subsides. In 9 cases out of 10, she will say in 5 minutes, "Okay, wait, I will get ready quickly." And even if she does not say it, she will sit at home and think about him, about his strength, about his independence, and her attraction will grow exponentially. This confidence manifests itself in everything, in how he speaks, slowly, in a low voice and without filler words. In how he looks, directly and without looking away. In how he makes decisions. He does not ask for permission, but informs about his choice. This does not mean he ignores her opinion. He can listen to it, but the final decision for which he is responsible always remains with him. In intimate closeness, this phantom manifests itself especially brightly. A good guy constantly asks, "Do you like it? How about this? Maybe do something else?" He seeks her approval even in bed. He is afraid of doing something wrong. The executioner of her doubts does not ask. He observes. He feels her body, her breath, and her moans. He leads her rather than following her. He confidently takes what he wants, but does it in a way that coincides with her secret desires. He creates a space in which she does not need to think and make decisions. She can just turn off her head and completely surrender to his will. He gives her the forgotten feeling of safety that comes not from softness, but from undeniable strength. He allows her to completely relax and give up control, knowing that he will handle it. And this feeling of not having to be strong, not making decisions, but just being a woman in the hands of a confident man, is one of the most powerful drugs that binds her to him stronger than any vows. He does not just satisfy her physically, he calms that very ancient primal fear that lives in the depths of her soul. The fear of chaos. And a man who is able to tame her inner storm becomes a god to her. If the first phantom creates the foundation of her attraction with the feeling of an unshakable rock, then the second phantom builds a dizzying roller coaster on this foundation. He intuitively understands one great law of the human psyche. Our brain values not constant happiness, but the amplitude of experiences. Not a straight line of pleasure, but breathtaking ups and downs. Stability and predictability is what her rational mind considers right for marriage. But her unconscious and her life-thirsty beast craves drama, intrigue, and passion. It craves to feel. A good guy makes a fatal mistake trying to make her happy 24 hours a day. He turns the relationship into a warm and dull swamp of comfort. He is always available, always predictable, and always nice. He is afraid to cause any negative emotion in her, whether it is jealousy, melancholy, or slight irritation. And thereby, he slowly but surely kills her attraction. Her nervous system gets used to him like background noise. He becomes part of the furniture. He no longer excites her. The architect of emotional roller coasters acts completely differently. He is not afraid to rock the boat. His behavior is a sine wave rather than a straight line. Today, he can be the embodiment of passion and attention. He looks at her as if she is the only person in the universe, making her feel like a goddess. His touches are gentle and at the same time demanding, igniting a fire in her that she did not even suspect existed. He gives her a peak and a summit of emotional bliss. And tomorrow, he might become distant and cold, not rude and not angry, but simply immersed in his own world. He is busy with his business, his mission, and his thoughts. He answers her messages in monosyllables, not because he is playing games, but because his focus is elsewhere right now. And what happens in her head? She finds herself at the point of a free fall. She starts to miss him. She starts recalling yesterday's peak. She replays his words and his looks in her head. She begins to doubt. Did I do something wrong? He begins to occupy her entire mental space. She starts wanting to get back that feeling of euphoria. She starts desiring him. He creates a deficit of his presence, and the value of this presence skyrockets. He makes her hunt for his attention rather than taking it for granted. This game of contrasts is the key to his power. The contrast between tenderness and hardness, between long, soulful conversations and a week of almost total silence, between crazy animal passion at night and calm business detachment in the morning. He is unpredictable, and this unpredictability keeps her constantly on her toes. She never knows for sure which version of him she will get today, and this forces her to think about him constantly. He becomes a mystery to her that she desperately wants to solve. It is important to understand that this is not pure manipulation. This is the natural behavior of a man who has his own life, his own passion, and his own path. His world does not revolve around her. She is only invited into this world as the most desired guest. His detachment is not a game, but a real immersion in his goals. And his passion is not a performance, but a sincere desire to share his energy with her when he returns from his world. Women subconsciously feel this difference. Artificial roller coasters built by a clumsy pickup artist cause only irritation. But the natural sine wave of the life of a man passionate about his work causes the deepest respect and unstoppable attraction. He does not try to entertain her. He just lives his fulfilling life, and this life itself becomes the most exciting ride for her. This is exactly the kind of depth people come to this channel for. If you are tired of superficial advice and ready for real psychology that works at the level of instincts, now is the best time to subscribe. The third phantom is the most subtle and perhaps the most powerful in creating a deep, almost mystical connection. This is the image of a man who looks not at her, but through her. He is the mirror of her true essence. He sees not the social mask that she has polished to perfection and wears for the whole world. He sees the real her fears, her secret desires, her pain, her childhood traumas, and her hidden strength. And he does not just see it. He reflects it back to her without judging. Every woman, even the most successful and confident, lives with the feeling that no one really knows her. She plays a role. The role of a good mother, a successful professional, a fun friend, or a caring daughter. This is an exhausting performance that requires a colossal amount of energy. Deep down, she desperately dreams that there is at least one person in the world around whom she can take off all masks and just be. Not seem to be, but actually be. A good guy falls in love with her mask. He admires her successes, her beauty, and her correctness. He sees the image she broadcasts to him and takes it at face value. And this tires her out. She realizes that he does not love her, but her avatar. She cannot relax around him because she is afraid that if she shows her weakness, her flaws, or her shadow, he will be disappointed and leave. The mirror of her true essence ignores the mask. He communicates directly with her subconscious. How does he do it? He is a master of nonverbal reading. He listens not to what she says, but to what she is silent about. He looks not at her smile, but into her eyes. He notices micro-pauses in her speech, the slightest changes in the tone of her voice, and barely noticeable tension in her shoulders. He is a walking lie detector, but he uses it not to catch her in a lie, but to understand her. Imagine she talks about her conflict at work, presenting herself as strong and unbending. A good guy will say, "Yes, you did great. You showed them all." He will praise her mask. The mirror will look at her carefully, stay silent for a second, and quietly say, "You must have felt very lonely in that moment." And these words will pierce her armor like a hot knife through butter. Because he named her true feeling, which she hid even from herself. He saw her vulnerability, and he did not turn away. At this moment, she feels completely naked and at the same time completely safe. This feeling is akin to hypnosis. He is not afraid of her dark side, which we talked about earlier. When in a fit of anger, she says something cruel, he is not horrified. He might say with a slight smirk, "I actually like this about you." Finally, some fire. He gives her permission to be bad, angry, and imperfect. And this is the highest form of acceptance. He does not try to fix or improve her. He just sees her whole, with all the light and all the dark, and his look says, "I see everything, and I like it." In bed, this turns into real magic. He does not follow learned techniques. He reads her body like a book. He knows when to be gentle and when to be rough. He feels that fine line where her comfort ends and her secret desire to be subjugated begins. He can stop a second before the peak, look into her eyes and ask something that touches her soul and not her body. He connects the physical and emotional into a single whole. Intimacy with him is not just physical exercise, but a deep spiritual experience, after which she feels as if she was taken apart into atoms and reassembled anew as a different and more genuine person. A man who once became such a mirror for a woman forever occupies a special place in her soul. Other men after him seem flat, superficial, and blind to her. They can satisfy her body, but he is the only one who touched her soul. The fourth phantom is a logical continuation of all the previous ones, but takes the game to a new level. This is the master of her time and thoughts. This is the image of a man whose world is so vast, interesting, and full of meaning that the woman in it is the most beautiful and desired thing, but still just one of the constellations in his personal galaxy and not its center. He does not revolve around her. He rotates his own universe, and she is irresistibly drawn into his orbit. This is the exact opposite of a satellite man, who upon meeting a woman makes her the main project of his life. He drops his hobbies, spends less time with friends, and puts off his goals to be with her. He constantly texts, calls, and takes an interest in her every step. He thinks he is showing his love and care, but in reality, he is broadcasting a monstrous message to her. Without you, my life is empty and meaningless. You are my only source of happiness. And this is not attractive. It is scary. This is a huge burden of responsibility that no woman will want to take on. The master of her time lives differently. He has a mission. It could be his business, his art, his scientific project, or his passion for travel. Anything that lights a fire in him. This endeavor is more important than comfort, more important than momentary pleasures, and yes, sometimes even more important than the time spent with her. And this drives her crazy. Because she faces something she cannot defeat in a competitive struggle. She cannot compete with his dream. When he is with her, he is 100% present. He gives her all his passion and attention, as we discussed earlier. But when he is busy with his work, he disappears. He might not answer messages for hours because he is fully immersed in his work. And she knows it. She sits and imagines what he is doing right now. She thinks about his world, his ambitions, and his strength. He is not around, but he has completely taken over her thoughts. He taught her the sweetest feeling of anticipating a meeting with him. He turned the time spent together from a routine into a precious and rare resource. He does not report on his plans, but presents her with a fact. Not asking if he can go fishing with friends on Saturday, but saying, "Honey, I am going fishing with friends on Saturday. I will be back on Sunday evening and I want to see you." He does not ask permission to live his life. He lives it, and this gives her an incredible feeling of freedom. She does not need to be his mommy or entertainment center. She can safely go about her business, knowing that he has his own world. This relieves her of colossal pressure. Moreover, his passion for his work is contagious. Next to such a man, she herself wants to grow, develop, and find her own passion. He does not pull her down into the swamp of everyday life, but inspires her to fly higher. A relationship with him is not a cage, but a springboard. This phantom creates the most important paradox of attraction. The less you need her, the more she needs you. The more whole and self-sufficient your life is, the more she wants to become a part of it. She subconsciously understands that if such a strong and purposeful man chose her specifically, it means she is truly special. Her value in his eyes, and therefore in her own eyes, increases many times over. He does not try to buy her love with his time. He gives her something much more valuable: the opportunity to touch his world full of meaning, passion, and forward movement. And for this opportunity, she will be ready to give up a lot. Friends, creating such deep content that does not just entertain, but changes the perspective on fundamental things requires a huge amount of time and energy. If you see real value in this, and if these ideas resonate with your life experience, you can support our channel by becoming a sponsor. This will allow us to grow faster, conduct deeper research, and create even more powerful breakdowns. The sponsor button is next to the subscribe button, and any support from you will be priceless to us. We have broken down 4 powerful images that control her attraction. The rock against which her doubts crash. The roller coaster ride that makes her feel alive. The mirror in which she sees her real soul. And an entire universe whose orbit she is irresistibly drawn into. Each of these phantoms can multiply your attractiveness, but there is a 5th one, the one that stands apart, the one that is not just an element of the game, but its essence. This is the darkest, most counterintuitive, and most dangerous image in unskilled hands. This is the phantom of the redeemer of her guilt. All her life since childhood, she was taught to be a good girl. Do not be angry. Do not want too much. Do not be selfish. Do not be too loud, too bright, or too sexual. Society, parents, and culture have all hung thousands of invisible chains of guilt and shame on her for her natural and primal desires. Her shadow, which we talked about, is locked in the deepest dungeon of her soul, and the guard at the door is her own sense of guilt. She may not even realize it, but this burden presses on her constantly. It prevents her from completely relaxing, completely surrendering to the moment, and completely enjoying life and her body. And then he appears. A man who is not just unafraid of her shadow, he welcomes it. He becomes for her that very priest from a secret forbidden cult who absolves her of all sins. Not future ones, but past, present, and even those she has not committed yet. By his behavior, his look, and his words, he gives her absolute and total permission to be bad. How does this look in practice? She tells him about some unseemly thought or action of hers, expecting condemnation. And he looks at her with a warm, understanding smirk and says, "Is that it? I thought you were capable of more." He does not judge. He normalizes her sin. He removes the label of bad from it. He turns her shameful secret into a spicy detail of her personality, which he actually likes. In moments of intimacy, this reaches its climax. She consists entirely of internal prohibitions instilled by her upbringing. You cannot do this. It is shameful to think this way, and good women do not behave like this. The redeemer of her guilt feels these barriers. And he does not break them with brute force. He dissolves them. He whispers in her ear exactly the words that legalize her most shameful fantasies. He does not say, "Let us do something dirty." He says, "I know you want this." And it is completely normal. Wanting this is beautiful. You deserve to feel exactly this. He becomes a portal for her to a world where there is no shame. Next to him, for the first time in her life, she can realize all her suppressed impulses without feeling dirty or guilty afterwards. On the contrary, she feels liberated, alive, real. He does not corrupt her. He returns her to her true primal nature, cleansed of the coating of social norms. This creates the strongest of all possible addictions, psychological and spiritual. She can leave a man who gave her stability. She can get tired of emotional roller coasters, but she will never voluntarily leave a man who gave her the freedom to be herself. Because leaving him means putting back on those very chains of guilt and shame. It means returning to prison. He is not just a lover. He is her personal savior, the one who led her out of the darkness of her own prohibitions into the light of absolute acceptance. And for this, she will not just be grateful to him, she will be devoted to him, body and soul, forever. This man becomes the only one who knows her real access code. Any others after him will just be amateurs trying to guess the password, while he knows the system from the inside. He is the system. So we have walked this path. 5 phantoms of her subconscious, the executioner of her doubts who gives her a feeling of safety in his strength, the architect of emotional roller coasters who makes her feel alive, the mirror of her true essence, giving her a deep feeling of acceptance, the master of her time and thoughts who makes her a part of his great story. And finally, the redeemer of her guilt, who grants her the highest value of all, which is the freedom to be herself. This is not a set of cheap tricks. These are the keys to the most secret rooms of her soul. To use them means to stop being an actor in the play of another and become its director. It means to stop reacting to her world and start creating a reality that she herself will want to enter. This requires courage. The courage to be yourself, to be strong, to be independent, and what is most terrifying for many, to be the one who is not afraid to look into her darkness and your own. But it is exactly in this darkness that true power is hidden. Not power over her, but over the game of attraction itself. And now, the main question for you. I shared my vision based on years of practice in studying depth psychology. But I know that among you there are thousands of men with vast life experience. Tell us in the comments, which manifestation of these 5 phantoms have you encountered in your life? What story confirms this? Let us gather a whole encyclopedia of male wisdom under this video.